Some of the earliest people who explained Buddhism to Western audiences, for example, D.T. Suzuki, called it a religion without God. Suzuki very clearly says that in one of his most often quoted quotes. He says Buddhism is a religion without God. And in the sense that in the sense of a God who gets worshipped, who is sort of conceived of in a very strict way, who's thought of as doing miracles and parting the Red Sea and raising his son from the dead and all of that kind of stuff. If that's the way you define God, you could say Buddhism is a religion without God. But to say it's a religion without God tends to make people think it's a form of atheism, and it's not at all. In a sense, it could be called non-theism, in meaning that we don't have a clear sort of defined idea about God. I would say we have a clear idea about God, but it's not defined, which is something people have trouble with. If you have a clear idea of God, then we should have a definition. We should be able to say what his shoe size is and what color his eyes are, and where he shops for shoes. Oh, sorry, I said shoes twice. But anyway, we think we should have a very clear idea about that. But Buddhism says, to me anyway, that there is a God. It's just that we can't define God in any meaningful way, because to define God is to limit God, and God is limitless. There's a very famous Christian theologian of the very early Christian era, about 1,000 years or so after Christ, who said something like, God does not exist because to say that God exists is to put limitations on God. So you can't say God exists or doesn't exist, which sounds like a very Zen sort of statement. But I feel that what we are aiming for in Zen practice, in all forms of Buddhist practice, is a kind of connection with the absolute, a connection with the ground of all being and non-being. And the way Western people use the word, that is God. I think to say it's not God is a mistake.